The idea for the Jindal School of Art and Architecture was to come up with a comprehensive school that is going to produce students who are going to analyze the built environment, research it, talk about it, study it, investigate it, and intervene in it. What makes the Jindal School really unique are 5 things. The first, I believe, is the question of interdisciplinarity. To produce these multi-skilled professionals who are going to work with the built environment, both our programs have a major minor kind of offerings. What we are able to do is actually create a curriculum that allows for cross-listing of courses. So students can take courses in the architecture school, international affairs school, public policy school, and they can take a course in the law school, thereby creating themselves as this unique professional.
Architecture is a practice that requires both creativity and application. Law, to a great extent, works in a similar fashion. The idea of having 2 departments in a university opens up the possibility of students from both these departments engaging in a conversation by drawing on the conventions of their own discipline.
Post-conflict stories is actually about people in living spaces. All that has a lot to do with the whole idea of living spaces and architecture. Both these disciplines depend largely on visual imagination. We should be able to expose them to art, to living spaces, to the visual imagination.
The second thing, which is very, very unique about the Jindal School, is the faculty. Following this interdisciplinarity, they themselves are people who have crossed the traditional boundaries of architecture and have made interesting combinations.
I'm a historian and I use methods of historic research, but I'm also an interior designer.
I've been trained in philosophy and anthropology, and I worked on religious architecture as a part of my PhD work.
I looked into the question of spatial restructuring, how spaces are formed, how spaces are affected by big infrastructure projects.
What we are able to do, in addition to all of this, by having the kind of diverse faculty, is to offer courses which are completely unlike the kind of courses you would do in a standard architecture program. The third way is the idea of how we learn, coming out of the ideas of critical pedagogy, where we are saying is knowledge is never a finite body. Knowledge is always in the process of making, and it emerges out of investigations in which faculty and student work as active and equal agents together in the production of knowledge.
How does one make canals? How does one make little earthen embankments? Right? Every train you see runs on an embankment. How is that actually made? Why is that made? Just teaching them in a classroom setting is not enough. So they have to make that. They have to understand how that works.
We would be focusing on something called design writing. Now, what design writing specifically is to have students think through object in its materiality, but also the ways in which it becomes a concept.
Fourth way I think the Jindal School is really, really unique is the question of how we are going to allow our students to what I call cross over the boundaries of other disciplines.
Any student of space and any student of law, they have to be in constant communication with each other. At a fundamental level, law constitutes space. Law creates the meaning of what counts as access to a certain space, what means for something to be approachable space, what is even conceptualized as space.
Students in this program would need to learn to build things. They'll need to understand the science and the engineering of the materials they're handling. They would also need to understand the history of cities, right? The history of how communities build up, what happens to cities which no one seems to own.
We try to place the students in life situations by doing quite a bit of field work, service to the community, bringing it back to the classroom for analysis, building these areas of experience that are individualized and collective at the same time, so that the students have a continual growth of knowledge.
The final way in which the school at Jindal is really unique, I think, is the way we are imagining our students, talking about development or change from top down, but rather how they can be agents of change along with people.
How do people behave in such spaces? What is the sociological considerations around it? What are the geographical considerations around these spaces? So all of these aspects we'll be investigating in our school.
The ideal student for the JSAA would be a student who is passionate about changing where they are, where they live, where they want to do something about this environment that they find themselves in. We in this country really need students who want to make this difference. And if you really want to do that, then this is definitely the place for you.